For decades, the main goal of our economy has been pretty simple: grow, grow, and then grow some more. But what if that singular focus is actually leading us toward a dead end? Today, we're going to dive into a really major shift in how we think about the economy, a whole new blueprint designed not just for growth, but for resilience, for fairness, and for a future that's genuinely sustainable. So let's just start with the biggest question of all. Is the economic system we've all been relying on for generations, is it actually built to last? I mean, it's becoming pretty clear that the old rules are buckling under the pressure of all these new challenges, from climate change to massive social inequalities. And this really brings us to our economy's breaking point. Before we can explore the new playbook, we first have to get our heads around why the old one, why it just isn't working anymore. Okay, now this slide, it just lays out the contrast perfectly. The old model, over there on the left, was obsessed with one single number, GDP. The environment, that was just considered an externality, which is really just a fancy way of saying it was a side effect, a problem for someone else to clean up later. But the new model on the right, wow, it completely flips the script. It's all about well-being in all its forms, making the environment a core, integrated principle, and finding that smart balance between free markets and a strong social safety net. So, if the old model is broken, what's the alternative? Let's get into it. Let's explore the new economic blueprint and how it fundamentally redefines what we even mean by progress. The key idea here, the real game changer, is something called competitive sustainability. Now, this isn't about choosing between a strong economy and a healthy planet. No way. It's about creating a system where they actually reinforce each other, where being green and innovative makes you more competitive, not less. And this quote, man, it gets right to the heart of it. Sustainability isn't just some checkbox you tick at the end of the process. It's being hardwired into the economic machine from the very beginning, in how we make stuff, how we buy stuff, and where we put our money. So how do we actually build this new economy? Well, the whole framework rests on 3 core pillars of change. Let's break them down. These are our building blocks. First up, a sustainable foundation that's rooted in how we use our resources. Second, a powerful technology engine to really drive efficiency and innovation. And third, and this is so important, maintaining a constant, people-centered focus to make sure this whole transition benefits everybody. Let's take a closer look at that first pillar. So, pillar 1 is all about shifting to a circular economy. The old way was totally linear. You take resources, you make a product, and then you create waste. The new logic is a closed loop. Instead of just taking from nature, we actually try to regenerate it. We design products so they can be reused and repurposed, essentially designing waste out of the system from the start. The big idea here is that value keeps circulating. It doesn't just get thrown in a landfill. Next up, the tech engine. Now, as this table shows, technology is kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it? AI offers these incredible opportunities to optimize pretty much everything, from energy grids to supply chains. But it also carries the very real risk of job displacement. And it's the same with blockchain. It can create amazing transparency, but we have to manage the risks, like the crazy high energy use of some of these technologies. The goal is to steer these powerful tools towards shared prosperity, not just leave it to chance. And that brings us to the third and honestly the most crucial pillar, keeping our focus on people. This is about remembering that the economy is supposed to serve society, right? Not the other way around. And that means we have to completely change how we measure success itself. This chart is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. A country can have a really high GDP per capita, the traditional measure of success. But its Human Development Index, or HDI, which is a much broader measure that includes things like life expectancy and education, that might only be moderate. This tells us that wealth doesn't automatically equal well-being. We need broader metrics that capture what truly matters. Okay, so we've got the blueprint and its pillars, but how do we turn all these great ideas into action? Well, this is where policy and governance come in to really shape our economic future. If you look at this timeline, you can see that our economic systems have always been evolving. We went from the industrial age's focus on pure output to the post-war obsession with GDP to the interconnectedness of globalization. So the sustainable paradigm we're talking about, it's really the next logical step in this evolution, pulling all these different goals into one single coherent model. And hey, this isn't just a theory. Look at the European Green Deal. It's a real-world, massive attempt to put this blueprint into action. It directly connects climate goals with industrial strategy. It creates a single framework for energy, trade, and social policy. And it uses clever tools like carbon tariffs, which is basically a tax on imports from countries with weaker climate policies, to encourage its global trading partners to get on board. It's using its market power to drive global change. Now, this is a super ambitious vision, and this transition won't be without its challenges. So let's look honestly at the prospects and the potential risks on the road ahead. There are three major hurdles we really need to navigate. First, technology could absolutely make economic inequality even worse if we're not careful. Second, there's the risk of what are called rebound effects. For example, if your car gets twice as fuel efficient, you might just end up driving twice as much, completely erasing the environmental gains. And finally, in a fractured world like ours, a lack of global cooperation could derail the entire project. But despite the risks, the goal is so worth it. What we're aiming for here is an economy where prosperity comes from regenerating our world, not depleting it, where everyone is included, not excluded, and where our systems are adaptable and resilient, not brittle and rigid. So we end right where we began, but with a totally different question. The blueprint exists. We have the tools and the ideas to build a fundamentally better economic system. The only question left is the one for all of us. What will we choose to build with it?